welcome back to the kitchen. Welcome if you're new. I'm Cheryl, this is Table Full of Joy, and friends, we are still on our high protein, low carb lifestyle change here, and we are making another delicious recipe tonight. I'm on a cottage cheese kick apparently. I don't know why, but I'm finding so many interesting recipes, high carb, using cottage cheese. I'm using my favorite Daisy cottage cheese. This is whole milk cottage cheese. Ingredients are super simple. It is literally just milk, cream, and salt. And that is all. That's all. 13 grams of protein. Love that. So we're gonna make these wraps. They're cottage cheese wrap that I saw on Pinterest. I love the cottage cheese bagels. I love these even more because there is literally no flour in these. So these are literally just cheese, cottage cheese, eggs, and some seasonings, and that's it. And then you bake them. And the secret with these things is you have to let them cool completely before you try to remove it off the parchment paper. So, and you need oil. So let's get our cottage cheese, our eggs, our cheese, and our seasonings blended up really quick. And let's get these in the oven because they need to bake for about 20 minutes. And then we need to let them cool completely. So I'm gonna set them in an area of my kitchen where they're gonna get nice and cool, and they'll be delicious when hubby gets home. So I need 1 cup of cottage cheese. Use your favorite cottage cheese. I am just on a Daisy kick right now. I love it because the ingredients are super simple, super clean. It's not organic. If you want an organic cottage cheese, then by all means, spend the money for an organic cottage cheese. But I am trying to do this without breaking the bank. And so I look for something, and as long as it has fairly clean ingredients and it's a reputable company, I'm okay with that. So I love Daisy sour cream, and their cottage cheese is fantastic. Everything is just very simple ingredients. They don't have a lot of additives. There's no chemicals, there's no preservatives, there's nothing funny in it, and that works for me. So there's our cup of cottage cheese. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in my food processor. And then we need some Parmesan cheese. You could use, really, I think you could use whatever cheese you want to. If you would rather use a different one, then by all means do that. I just happen to have some Parm, so that's what I'm gonna use. And I'm just gonna grate this in here. So fresh grated Parm. If you don't have fresh grated, you can use whatever you've got. Don't sweat it. Not a huge ordeal. The recipe doesn't say it needs to be fresh grated. I just happen to have some, so that's what I'm gonna do. I love how simple these are. And it does stress in the recipe that you have to let them cool completely, and that you need to spray your parchment, because if you don't, they're not gonna come off the parchment paper, they're gonna stick, it's gonna be a mess, and you don't want that. I think that's probably a good amount of cheese right there. All right, I'm gonna put in 2 eggs. I'm also gonna put some bacon in the oven on a sheet pan and let that start cooking so that can kind of cool down. We're gonna make some kind of BLTs, but I'm gonna put an avocado on it. I was gonna get some turkey, but I decided against that. So it really is just gonna be a delicious BLT with avocado. All right, I'm gonna put in some of this Parmesan mushroom seasoning that we got at the coast. I'm loving putting that in everything. Okay, I think that's probably enough seasoning. All right, I'm gonna put my lid on. We're gonna blend this. It says you want to blend it for about 45 seconds to a minute because you want this really blended well, no chunks left in the cottage cheese. Right, I grabbed an offset spatula. That's going to make it super easy for me to put this on my sheet pan. I'm going to pull my blade out because I don't want this falling on my pan. Plus, I don't want to waste any of that delicious mixture. Let's get this poured out onto our parchment. And then I'll come in with my offset spatula, level it out. It says you want to get them nice and even, but not too thin, because if it's too thin, then they're going to tear when you try taking it off the parchment. And you know what, friends? I just realized we forgot to spray this. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on one second. Freeze. We're going to scrape this back into our food processor. I'm going to get another piece of parchment. Don't you hate it when you do that? Oh my goodness, that would have been horrible. See, friends, we're really cooking here. We make mistakes. Things happen. But it's a good thing when we catch it before it's too late. And this time we did. All right, I'm gonna put this in the garbage. All right, let's spray this. I'm gonna use my brush to spread this oil around, just to make sure that we're getting a good layer of oil on here. Like I said, I want to make sure these come off of this parchment paper. All right, let's take our brush. Give this a good brushing. Make sure we've got plenty of oil in here. All right, that would have been catastrophic, let me tell you, friends. And I'm sure you probably all were screaming at me. You forgot to oil that. All right, I spread it. I'm gonna give it one more spray. Okay, now we're gonna put this on our pan. Take two. You know, I like to keep it real for you guys. I mean, I make mistakes. There are lots of times I do things that don't turn out, that don't work well, all kinds of things. I am not the kind of person that I want to only show you guys the good things that happen, because we all have those things happen in our kitchen. So none of us are perfect in the kitchen. All right, now that we've avoided catastrophe, let's get this leveled out. She said it doesn't have to be completely like even, but you do want it, I mean, like not the edges, but you do want it level all the way so that it cooks evenly. And what I'll end up doing with this, I'll end up cutting this in two pieces. So I'll end up with two wraps. So it'll be this size, which will be perfect for our BLT. All right, let's give it one more smooth with our spatula. Okay, I think we're good now. All right, this is going in the oven. 350 degrees, probably 15-20 minutes, and we'll come back when it's done. All right, friends, here's our egg wraps. These are done. They're completely chilled now. So we're gonna go ahead and cut these in half. I'm gonna make two wraps. I have had almost no carbs today, and I am like almost 1,200 calories behind on what I should have eaten today. So I'm actually making some French fries in the air fryer. I'm gonna have a few French fries to go with mine. And hubby just got back from putting several hours into the front's property, so he's gonna have some carbs. I think it's gonna be fine. I'm not gonna worry too much about it. Like I said, I'm like almost a 1,200 calorie deficit right now, so I think I can afford to have a few French fries. So let's get these wraps made. Super excited to try these. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut these in half. You can see this one kind of split, but I think it's gonna be okay if I roll it this direction. I think it'll be fine. So I'm gonna pull this one off, put this right here, and I'm gonna put some cream cheese on this. So I think that cream cheese is gonna help hold that together. Hubby really loves jalapeno cream cheese, so I'm gonna put some jalapeno cream cheese on his. And I'm gonna use my offset spatula again because I think it's gonna make it super easy to spread this. And like I said, I think that cream cheese is gonna help kind of glue that wrap together. I am just loving all of the stuff that I can find to do with cottage cheese. I have another recipe for you guys tomorrow night. I actually just watched Angie over at If the Creek Don't Rise. I watched her do it and I was like, yes please, we are gonna have that because it looked amazing. All right, so there's our cream cheese. That's gonna glue our our wrap together. Now we're gonna put down, I'm gonna roll it this way. So I'm gonna put 2 pieces of bacon right here on the bottom of this. And I'm gonna dice, yeah, I think I'm gonna dice my tomato because I think it's gonna be easier in this particular application. I think it's gonna be easier to eat with a diced tomato. Just like I'm gonna dice the avocado and I'm gonna shred the lettuce. Hubby is a fan of shredded lettuce just because it's so much easier to eat. So I'm gonna put in some tomato. And I'm probably only gonna need a half of this avocado. So I'm gonna keep the other half, I'll leave the pit in it. Those are looking delicious. I'm gonna leave the pit in the other half of this avocado so that it stays ripe and doesn't go brown on me. And I'll put that in hubby's lunch tomorrow and he can have that with his lunch. Okay, so there's that. Let's do some avocado. And I'm gonna use my lettuce as the last thing that just kind of is gonna glue this whole wrap together. That is a beautiful avocado. I'm gonna go ahead and slice this and then dice it. I need to grab a spoon so I can scoop this out. I think it's gonna be delicious. I don't think we need another kind of cheese on these, only because I think the cream cheese is gonna be plenty of cheese. But like I said, I am a deficit right now, 1,200 calories, so I probably could handle a piece of cheese, but I'm gonna be fine. I'm not gonna worry about it. I think this is gonna be delicious. And I'm gonna roll it this direction, so this is gonna stay inside the wrap itself. Stuff may fall out the bottom, and that's okay. All right, I'm gonna shred up some of this. This is some farm fresh lettuce. Move my cutting board down just a tiny bit so I have a little room. And I'm gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna shred this up and we're gonna put this right on top of our wrap. I think that's plenty. Just gonna pile that on here. I am super excited to eat this, friends. I think it's gonna be delicious. I think hubby is gonna love it. Let's get that tomato and avocado inside. That cream cheese is definitely acting as some glue for our wrap. And it's splitting just a little bit right here, and I think that's because I'd already had a split on that side, but it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna put hubby's wrap on here. You know, I can probably just cut it right where that splits at and just give him 2 pieces. Just like that. Look at the inside of that. Losing a little bit of avocado, but that's okay. Like I said, these are not meant to be perfect, but they are gonna be absolutely delicious. Gonna have a little bit of French fries with this, and this is dinner. All right, friends, here's mine. This is the one I told you to just do the chive and onion cream cheese. Hubby's has got the jalapeno. We're gonna put some French fries on our plate. There's our beautiful French fries. All right, there we go. There's our dinner. We'll see you guys tomorrow for another delicious recipe. Hi friends, happy Tuesday. So it is almost noon. I'm headed to the farm. I'm gonna head out and see what I can find for fresh veggies and fruits for this week to get us through. Stuck around the house this morning and did some things that I needed to get done. All 3 dogs needed a bath, and then so that was not fun, but they needed it, so we got that done. Trying to get all of our bedding washed this morning. I had some things that I needed to process and get in the freezer. So got all those little things done. Now we're gonna head out to the farm and have some fun. Let's see what kind of fresh things we can find out there for the week. Excited about tonight's dinner. I'll share that with you guys in a little bit. It is a recipe that I saw Angie from If the Creek Don't Rise. Love her channel. Go check her out if you've never watched her before. I went and watched her last night. Her video from a couple of days ago, and her recipe she did looked fantastic. And so I talked to hubby last night and he said, yes, let's do it. So we're doing it tonight for dinner, so I'll bring you along after we get back from the farm. I also have to go to work for a couple hours this afternoon. We're doing another tour with a potential family this afternoon. And then I gotta make a bad dash home and get ready to go to the pool because Tuesday and Thursday nights, my water class is in the evening. So it's gonna be a busy afternoon. So let's go and get things done. Let's go ahead to the farm, see what we can find, and then we'll head home. All right, friends, we're grabbing a flat of raspberries, a flat of blackberries, some nectarines, some peaches, grabbed a bag of squash, some green onions, and I'm gonna grab this ginormous head of green leaf lettuce. This thing is huge. All right, friends, we are back from Thistledown. Can you see behind me? Oh my word, I'm so excited. So I went, ignore the mess behind there, putting things away. I'm cleaning my kitchen and I have a project going, so ignore that mess. So anyway, I went to Thistledown, grabbed what I could get there, and they were pretty busy, as always, as well as I went by Groundworks Organics, but I just found out they're only open Thursday through Sunday. So we're gonna have to make it a point to go out to the farm on Thursdays now instead of on Tuesdays, which is fine. It just means I'm gonna have to make an extra trip out there this week to go to Groundworks, but it's okay. I'm not worried about that. I am loving going to the farm, getting what's fresh, coming home, and then making a meal plan. So I'll show you what I got out there, but I came home with in mind what I had picked up at the farm this morning, sat down, and within 15 minutes, I had a meal plan ready for the week. I've got plenty of meat and stuff in my freezer. I don't need to buy any meat for anything, so we are good with that. We're just gonna continue to work through the meat that we have. Stuff from Good Chop, but also stuff from Fred Meyer that I had gotten on sale. We're gonna start working through some of those things and getting rid of that, getting out of the freezer, because I need to make room in my freezers, friends, because they're gonna have corn coming out, they're gonna have green beans coming out in abundance at the market. So I need to have room to put those things in the freezer when they come out and are ready, tomatoes and all the things. So I need to start working through some things in the freezer, so we're gonna do that. And so right now, we're just focusing on getting what's fresh with the fruits and the veggies and all the things. So I'm gonna go through what we got here just a second out at Thistledown. I'm excited. I cannot wait for the recipes that I found. I'm loving this. I'm loving going to the market, getting things that are fresh, and then coming home and deciding what to make for the week. So I'm gonna flip you guys around and let you see what we picked up at Thistledown this morning. All right, so I grabbed a flat of raspberries back there, and I was snacking on those on the way home, and they are delicious. Some blackberries, and look at the size of these blackberries. They are ginormous. Those things are huge. I cannot wait to have those. Also grabbed some more peaches. I grabbed some broccoli, 2 heads of broccoli, some bell peppers, that ginormous head of lettuce that I showed you while I was in there. Some pea pods for my husband, he loves those. Some more of those ginormous carrots that we got last time. They are fantastic. I have a whole bunch of these in my freezer. We're gonna eat some of these fresh this week, and then I'm gonna freeze some more. Grab some, some more zucchini. Got a whole bunch of zucchini, and I just found 2 more recipes for zucchini. So those are coming up this week. Grabbed 3 bunches of green onions. I'm gonna use one and dehydrate 2 of those. Grabbed a bag of delicious fresh green beans. They are stunning looking green beans. Cannot wait to get those. We're gonna probably eat all of these fresh this week, and then I'm gonna go back out to the farm and get several bags of green beans so we can come home, process these, and get these ready for the freezer. Also grab some more nectarines because we are loving the fresh nectarines and peaches, and grabbed another bag of those delicious cherries. Hey friends, it is Wednesday and I'm excited about today's recipe. I watch It's Creek Don't Rise, and my friend Angie over there, love her channel. She has some incredible things, and I watched her make this taco meat a couple of nights ago. She actually did the video I think last week, and I didn't get around to watching it until just a couple nights ago. But what a genius way to make taco meat. I shared it with my husband and he said, yes, let's make it. But I didn't want taco salad. I have all of these beautiful peppers that we have gotten at the farm this last week or so. And so I'm gonna make some stuffed peppers. My husband loves stuffed peppers. He's been begging me to make them for a while. And I thought, what a great opportunity to do that. Make this delicious taco meat that she made. We're gonna add some things to it. We're going to stuff these bell peppers with all kinds of delicious things, and they're gonna be amazing, and I can't wait to eat these. So let's get our ground beef started. I'm just gonna use 1 pound of my Good Chop ground beef. I'm gonna get it going in my skillet over here. And while the ground beef is cooking, let's get our peppers cut and ready and get those into the pan so those are ready for us when the filling gets done. These are gonna go together pretty quickly and they'll take about 30 minutes to bake, and then they're gonna be delicious. So let's get these done. All right, so for stuffed peppers, I'm just gonna cut them in half. We tend to like them cut this direction versus just cutting the top off of them and then stuffing a big tall pepper. Hubby tends to like them this way, so this is how I'm gonna cut our peppers, but you do whatever, you know, size or whatever that you want for your peppers. I'm just gonna pull out all the seeds and that white pit that's in there. We don't want that. These are beautiful, beautiful bell peppers. I am loving, friends, that we are getting so many things fresh from the farm right now. It's really helping with keeping us on a healthier lifestyle, healthier way of eating. Like I said before, it's hard to make a menu plan and then go to the farmer's market because you're not really sure what they're gonna have at the farm. So I go see what they have that's fresh, what are things that we like to eat, maybe some things that we haven't tried before that maybe we would enjoy trying and want to give it a shot. So we can do that as well. But it really is about just getting everything that is fresh right now from our local farms and eating a little bit healthier of a diet. We're not limiting ourselves on anything. We're not depriving ourselves of anything. We're just eating a little bit better, a little bit fresher. All right, so here's our peppers. I could not get the other green one in here. I didn't have enough room, which is fine. It's gonna be okay. I'm not gonna worry too much about it. We've got plenty here. So we got our peppers all done. Those are ready to go. I asked hubby what he wanted in these peppers. Normally we put rice in stuffed peppers, but we're not really eating rice right now. And so I asked him, I said, do you want rice? Because I'll make rice if you do. Or would you rather have cauliflower rice? We got a beautiful head of cauliflower at the farm yesterday. So I'm gonna just put that in the food processor really quick and make some cauliflower rice so we can add that to our ground beef and the rest of our ingredients to make our stuffed pepper filling. So here is our big giant head of cauliflower. So I'm gonna cut off part of these, put them over there. I don't need to make a ton of this cauliflower rice because it's just an accent piece to this. So we're gonna cut off some of the florets off of this big head, put them in the food processor and make some cauliflower rice. All right, so here's our ground beef. I went ahead and did our cauliflower rice. I'm gonna use the drippings that are over here to kind of start get this rice, cauliflower rice kind of cooking. I don't wanna waste any of that flavor from that meat. So we're just gonna use the drippings right there, just to give give the cauliflower rice a head start. Grab a spoon, just so we can start getting it stirred around just a little bit. This is actually really lean ground beef, so there was a little bit of juice, a little bit of fat, but I'm not worried about that. I would rather use that than add more oil to my pan. So we're just going to use that as a head start for our rice. Going to get this started. And we'll come back when we're ready for the next step. All right, I'm going to go ahead and combine my ground beef and my cauliflower. So when Angie did this over on her channel, If the Creek Don't Rise, she did not do the cauliflower rice. They just had the ground beef for taco salads. But I'm doing it because I'm trying to bulk up this meat a little bit. So what Angie's trick was, that she learned from a friend at church, was to put cottage cheese in her taco meat. And I thought, I'm on a cottage cheese kick right now, and anything and everything I can find to cook this in, I'm putting it in it. So she added this to her ground beef, along with some taco sauce, and let it simmer. And this cottage cheese will melt down and become so creamy and so beautiful. So we're gonna go ahead and put our cottage cheese in here. I'm not using taco sauce. I'm gonna use some salsa instead. So let's get our cottage cheese. And I don't think that one packet was enough. Our Fred Meyer was out of cottage cheese, and I had to get those little containers. I'm gonna go ahead and add this other one in, just because I think it needs the extra moisture. Let's get this started mixing, and then we're going to add our salsa in. And we want to let this simmer for about 10 minutes. We want to let that cottage cheese completely melt, because it will melt down and become so creamy and so beautiful that you won't even recognize that this was cottage cheese in this pan. We're getting a little bit of water, a little moisture from our cauliflower, but that's okay. Not a big deal. Like I said, we're going to let this cook down. So I just grabbed some fresh salsa from the refrigerator section at Fred Meyer. That's what I'm going to put in here instead of taco sauce. If you want to use taco sauce, by all means do that. And like I said, I'm going to let this simmer here for a good 15 minutes, because I want all of this liquid to go away. So I'm not going to cover this. I'm going to leave the lid off. And I'm just going to let that cottage cheese melt down. I'm going to let that cauliflower release all the moisture that it wants to. And then we can come back in and give it a good stir. I want to get rid of all this moisture before I add the next couple of ingredients to this filling. I'm just adding as much salsa as I think I need to. I can probably add a little bit more once we get some of this liquid cooked out, but we're going to let this sit here and cook and let that cottage cheese melt down. We'll come back. All right, friends, you can see we've absorbed most of the liquid now. A lot of that has gone away. It just looks like a beautiful taco meat with a little bit of cauliflower rice. We're going to put in some pinto beans. You can use black beans, pinto beans, whatever kind of beans are your favorite beans to have. We just like putting a bean in our stuffed peppers, since these are kind of like a taco stuffed pepper. So a little bit of pinto. So we're actually putting so much protein in this mixture right here. Tons and tons and tons of protein. The cottage cheese has a lot of protein. Your ground beef has a lot of protein. The beans have a lot of protein. We're gonna put in some cheese. This smells incredible, friends, let me tell you. And it's super simple. All right, I turned off my heat. I'm gonna grate in some cheddar cheese, and we're gonna get that stirred in. I'm gonna grate a little pepper jack cheese because we like things a little bit on the spicy side. If you don't like it spicy, add all cheddar cheese. You don't need to add the pepper jack, but we like it that way. And I just looked, and I probably should preheat my oven so we can bake these peppers. All right, so there's some cheddar. I'm gonna preheat my oven back here. I'm gonna preheat it to 400 degrees. We've got some pepper jack. We're gonna get a little of that in here. Like I said, I did turn off my heat, so we don't have any heat on our burner right now. And this is the entire filling. This is all I'm putting in here. You could add some corn to it. Hubby would love it if I added corn. I don't have any. Otherwise, I would add some for him, but we don't have any. You can add veggies. If you want to add whatever you want to add to this, add it. I think it would be fantastic. All right, I'm gonna give this a stir. You know what I think I will add just a little bit? We have some dehydrated jalapenos. I get these from Amazon, and I think I'm going to add just a small pinch. I don't need a bunch. All right, I'm going to get all this mixed in here, and then we're going to head over and we're going to stuff our peppers. All right, so here's our filling. Nice cheesy filling. I'm just going to use this spoon, and we're just going to start filling these peppers. I'm gonna make sure you get plenty of filling in these. And just before we pull these out of the oven is when I'm going to put a little more cheese on top. They are stuffed peppers all as well, so you gotta have a little more cheese. If you are not a cheese fan, friends, by all means don't put cheese in it if you don't want to. We love cheese, and especially for the protein factor, we're definitely going to put cheese in these. I think these smell incredible already. And as I said, you can't even see the cottage cheese. You would have no clue that there was cottage cheese in here if I didn't tell you. That's what I love. Great way to get some extra protein in your kiddos, and nobody has to know that it's in there if they're not a cottage cheese fan. It's just a great way to add some extra nutrients to these. I think hubby's going to be super excited with these. I had enough filling. I could have went one more pepper, but I didn't have room for it. So we're just going to pile these nice and high. Use up all of that filling. I'm going to bake these covered for the first probably 20 minutes that they're in the oven. And then I will uncover it, put the cheese on it. Our oven's hot. Uncover it, put the cheese on it, and let them go just a little bit longer until that cheese gets nice and melty. The peppers are nice and soft. I don't like stuffed peppers if the peppers are mushy and wet. So I want some texture still. If you don't want to leave the peppers whole like this, you can by all means dice them up and mix everything together, put it all in a skillet and make a casserole. And I think that would still be absolutely delicious. So there's our stuffed peppers. No grains, lots of protein, lots of good nutrition. Gonna cover this in the oven and we'll come back when we put the cheese on it. All right, friends, I'm gonna pull these peppers out of the oven. I smell them and they smell amazing. So let's get these out. Let's get some more cheese on them and then get them back in the oven. All right, friends, the big reveal. Look at those high protein, low carb stuffed peppers. They look fantastic. Let's get some more cheese on these. Gonna put them back in the oven for about 5 or 10 minutes. Really let that cheese get all nice and melted and gooey. And then I have a half of a tomato left over from something. And I think I'm gonna put a little bit of fresh diced tomato on top of these. I think hubby will really appreciate that. I'm gonna put a little bit of pepper jack on them. Wow. He is gonna be so excited with these. I will do a taste test with you all, probably after I take hubby his dinner. When I come back and do the taste test myself, I'll give you guys his review, his thoughts on these, and let you know if this is a keeper or if this was a miss. I kind of have a feeling that it's going to be a keeper, but we'll see. All right, back in the oven for about 10 minutes. These look fantastic, friends. I am so excited about these. So much protein in these with the ground beef, the cottage cheese, the regular cheese. So many delicious things in here. I have a little bit of tomato, fresh tomato. We're gonna put a little tomato on each one. Just gonna add a little more color. Have the tomato, might as well use it up because it's been in my fridge since we had BLTs, I think it was, the other night. That'll just add a little bit of layer of freshness to it. Have a little bit of green onion. This is fresh from the farm as well. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of green onion on these. I'm gonna scoop up hubby's and put them in his container. I'm also gonna bring him a little container of sour cream. Hubby is funny. Sometimes he wants sour cream and sometimes he doesn't. It just depends. So we're gonna bring him a couple of peppers in his container with a little bit of sour cream, and that's gonna be his dinner tonight. Friends, I'm super excited about this. I love the idea of putting cottage cheese in with the ground beef. That is such a genius idea when you're doing low carb and high protein. What a fantastic way to get extra protein into your meat and into even your tacos or whatever you're doing. Add it to your ground beef, your ground chicken, your ground turkey, whatever you're doing. I'm gonna be doing this from now on, whether I make pasta with a ground meat or tacos or whatever, I'm putting cottage cheese in it from now on because I think that's a fantastic way to get extra nutrients in there. So I'm gonna pack these up. I'm gonna head off to church, drop off hubby's dinner, and then I'm gonna come home and finish cleaning up my kitchen because I've got a lot of processing that I still have to do from the farm, and I don't wanna waste any of these delicious things that we picked up. So let's get this dished up and off to hubby. Sour cream for him. Should have squeezed it, massaged it a little bit more in the package. Had a little bit of liquid there, but it's okay. It's fine. All right, sour cream. I've got his container here. I'm gonna put a couple of peppers in there. I'm gonna do a red and a green. Look at those. Oh my word, friends. All right, let's grab a green one. The green one feels like it's a little bit softer. I might need to get a bigger spatula for that one. Those green ones were pretty good sized peppers, so there we go. Only lost a little tiny bit. All right, there's hubby's peppers, his little sour cream, and I'm off to church to deliver his dinner. Good morning, friends. It's Thursday. It is Bible study day for me, and I'm making another special treat to bring to the women at Bible study. Super excited about this recipe because we have fresh raspberries from the farm just a couple of days ago. We're gonna make a lemon raspberry bread to bring along with this. It's gonna have a beautiful lemon glaze that's gonna go on it. Instead of making a full loaf of this bread, I'm gonna use my mini loaf pan. I think this is perfect because then I can bring all these little mini loaves with me, and I think they're gonna be beautiful. The recipe calls for some butter and flour in your pan. Instead, I'm gonna use my Baker's Joy. This is my favorite way to prep pans for baking so that things don't stick. So we're just gonna give our pan a really good spray with this, and then we're gonna set it aside. Our pan's all prepped and ready to go. Let's get our ingredients mixed up. These go together really, really quick, which is what I'm super happy about because I need to be out of here in about an hour. So let's get these baked. We're gonna start with 1 cup of sugar. I'm gonna get this stuff mixed up before I put the flour in. We need 1 cup of sour cream. Sour cream is gonna give us that little bit of a tang, but it's also gonna give us a little bit of lightness in our bread. You need a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. And I'm gonna stop right there and start getting these things combined real quick, and then I'm gonna add my eggs. I need 3 eggs. Get those mixed up. I love getting to bake things for the women at Bible study every Thursday morning. Our Bible study leader would make stuff if she needed to, but it just brings me such joy to do this for the ladies. So I love getting to do it. We're gonna add some lemon zest. And I'm changing this recipe just a little bit. So this recipe calls for lemon extract. And I'm not a humongous fan of lemon extract. I mean, it's fine, but I'm not a huge fan of it. So I've got some lemon curd in my fridge that needs to be used up. So I'm gonna mix a little bit of that in here. And I think it's gonna be delicious. So instead of doing lemon extract, we're gonna do the zest. We'll need some more zest for our glaze. We're gonna put in a little bit of this lemon curd. This is just gonna boost our lemon flavor. I think I'm gonna put a heaping tablespoon in this. Get that mixed in. All right, now we're gonna start putting in our dry ingredients. So we need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Half teaspoon of salt. Salt just brings everything together. Let's get that mixed in before we add our flour. Make sure that baking powder gets mixed in. And we need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And yes, as I said before, ladies, I know that the ladies understand that I am doing, low carb, high protein. This is not necessarily on what I'm doing, but I will maybe have, that's what I love about doing these small loaves, because then I can just cut off a small piece and have just a little bit so that I can enjoy something with them, but I'm not completely breaking what I'm doing. So 1.5 cups. Super excited. Oops, throwing things in the garbage, my measuring cups. All right, use my whisk again and just lighten this flour up in here. And then I'm gonna switch to a spatula and I'm gonna lightly fold in our 1.5 cups of raspberries, because I don't want them to completely break up. So we're not gonna mash them. We're not gonna do anything rough with them. We're just gonna very gently fold in 1.5 cups of fresh raspberries. I like using a whisk because I can really get in there and get all those lumps out as best as I can. But I don't want to overmix. Into a spatula. We're gonna get our raspberries put in. I froze most of my berries yesterday, so this is the ones that I did not freeze. I'm just gonna eyeball 1.5 cups of raspberries. A few extra won't hurt. And the rest of these raspberries, hubby will use them or we'll eat them fresh because they are fantastic. They are so delicious. Hubby and I are thoroughly enjoying all of the fresh fruit and veggies from the farm here recently. All right, I think that's probably good. Nah, let's do a few more. Not gonna hurt it. A couple extra raspberries. All right, now we're just gonna very gently fold these raspberries in so that we don't break them up. We don't want them to completely fall apart, but I do want them nicely mixed into our batter. I'm gonna have these little raspberry swirls all the way through our bread. And I think what I'll end up doing, I have extra raspberries, I may end up putting just a couple of raspberries up on top. All right, that looks like it's mixed well enough for me. I don't want to overmix this. So we're gonna get this portioned out into our mini bread pan. All right, let's get these portioned out. And if I remember correctly, I think this bread pan takes 2 scoops of whatever batter. Yep, that looks about right. So 2 scoops. So I may have to go grab my other bread pan if I need to do a couple of extras than what will fit in here. And like I said, I think I am going to put a couple of raspberries right up on top for a little extra decoration. A little extra raspberry never hurt. I think these are going to be light and delicious. I think the ladies are gonna love these with their tea this morning. Let me know in the comments if you guys are tea drinkers. What is your favorite tea to drink? I've been getting to experience some beautiful teas at this Bible study. I've never really been a huge tea drinker other than just, you know, like regular tea from the grocery store we grab. Usually not though until I'm sick and I need to drink something hot. But my Bible study leader has had some really fascinating teas here recently, so it's been kind of fun to get to try those. All right, there's our batter. I'm going to come back over with our raspberries, and I think we'll just put a couple of raspberries up on top of each one. And then we're going to do a beautiful little glaze on top of these after they cool just a little bit. All right, these are going in the 350 oven for about 10 to 12 minutes. All right, friends, look at those. They look fantastic. I think these are gonna pop out nice and easy. We're gonna pop these out, put these on a cooling rack so that they can cool down enough that I can put the glaze on it. We're gonna do a special glaze. So let's get these out of our pan, get them onto our cooling rack, and I think these are gonna be delicious. So I'm just gonna use my offset spatula to kind of help me just a little bit, kind of lift them. I might need to let them cool just a hair before I try. Yeah, let's let them sit here for about 5 minutes and we'll come back. All right, friends, these came out absolutely beautiful. I'm so happy with these. Let's make a little bit of a lemon glaze to go on these, something a little bit different, not just your typical lemon juice and powdered sugar. So let's get these done because I need to be out of here in just a few minutes. You can see how beautiful these turned out. So I'm gonna put in a little bit of I'm gonna continue with our lemon curd. Instead of putting lemon juice in this, I'm gonna put a little bit of lemon curd. I'm just gonna use my whisk to grab some. I am gonna put in a little bit more, there we go. All right, I am gonna put a little bit of powdered sugar in here. And I am still gonna put in some lemon juice because I love the fresh brightness of the fresh lemon juice. Just enough to kind of thin this out a little bit, make it a little bit easier to drizzle over our little breads. Now, if you don't have the mini loaf pan like I do, by all means, you can use a full-size loaf pan and make these. You probably could even use this for muffins if you wanted to, if you're more of a muffin person than a bread person. But see, adding that lemon curd makes this just a little bit of a thicker glaze. It's just, I think it's beautiful. I'm going to use my spoon that I had in my powdered sugar to drizzle this over our breads. Let these sit for just a few minutes, and then we're going to be out the door. So we're just going to take our spoon and just kind of do a light little drizzle over the top. I really want these to have some beautiful lemon flavor. Just like that. Put a piece of parchment paper underneath this just to catch the excess glaze so that I'm not cleaning it up off of my cutting board. And I think I will use my little strainer, and I think we'll put a little bit of powdered sugar on these just to give them a little more, just to make them look a little bit prettier. Not a lot of powdered sugar, just a little dusting. All right, and just like that, there's our little lemon breads. Are those not beautiful? All right, friends, I'm gonna put these on a platter. I'm gonna head off to Bible study. All right, friends, so that is our week trip to the farm, some delicious recipes. We are loving eating so many fresh things right now. It is just so delicious. I can't wait. Every week I'm excited to go to the farm and see what they have fresh. Excited to find some new recipes. We missed a recipe this week. I did not get it done. We had a little snafu one night. So actually it was on Tuesday. You guys should have seen the stuffed peppers on Tuesday and then the other recipe on Wednesday. That did not happen. Something came up on Tuesday night. I did not cook dinner. So we had to do the peppers on Wednesday. And so anyway, it was just the whole thing. So anyway, tonight I'm doing a couple of recipes for a collaboration coming out this Sunday. So you guys will see that one before you guys will see, well, you guys will see it on Sunday. So don't miss that one. Sunday's not my normal upload day, but it is a collaboration with my sweet friend Jim from Jim's Kitchen, so you don't want to miss that. It's going to be super fun. And so anyway, tonight's dinner that you guys would normally see is not included because as I said, I'm doing the collaboration. So anyway, friends, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Not sure if I'm going to get a Saturday live done. We have our church cleanup on Sunday at church, and I'm not positive what time I'm going to get home, if I'm going to get a live done or not, but we'll try. If we don't, then you guys will have the collaboration coming out on Sunday, so don't miss that. So friends, thank you guys again so much for coming along with us this week and joining us at the farm and making all the delicious recipes with us with low carb and high protein. And I'm loving going to the pool. My knees are feeling great. I'm actually down another 3 pounds, which I'm excited about. So I'm just continuing to enjoy going to the pool, getting a little bit healthier, making some better choices. And so if you guys are doing something fun like that, if you guys are making some life changes like that in your diet or anything like that, share them in the comments with me. Let me know what you guys are doing, what you guys are doing, your eating plan or whatever it is. Let me know how you guys are doing with that and how's it going. I would love to hear that. I'd love to share in that journey with you guys as you share in my journey. And so, friends, thank you guys again so much. You guys all mean the world to me. I hope you guys know each one of you guys are so special to me and my husband. You guys have just made this channel what it is, and I can't thank you guys enough for that every single day. I hope you guys will share my channel with your friends and family. If you know somebody that is maybe embarking on a high protein and low carb lifestyle, I hope you'll share my channel with them and encourage them to come follow along with us as we do all of these delicious recipes together, make our weekly trips to the farm and see what we can find. Our farms here are just getting ramped up. We are in early June or mid-June, and so they are just getting ramped up around here. We're gonna have so many delicious things coming out, so you don't wanna miss it. I hope you'll bring your friends along with you. And friends, I'm gonna get out of here. I've gotta get to work. I have a tour at the daycare here in just a couple minutes, and I gotta get out the door. So I will see you guys in the collaboration on Sunday, and I'll see you guys on Monday in another video. Have a great day. God bless.